I hope everybody is doing well. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Hold, please. Okay, that should be good. Sorry about that. Welcome. I hope everybody is doing well today. So I'm going to ramble for a moment or two in case people get the notification that we have went live. Now, I debated on a couple topics because I think it's a couple of fun videos planned kind of regarding the Truman Show, but I don't want to get too much into it because people like to hijack my theories and then speak them as their own and then get monetized for them. I think truth should be shared. Certain people aren't ready for certain truths. I'm learning that. So you have to be careful when delivering truth, and you have to use your discernment. Are they ready for that? You know how when you sleepwalk, they would say, don't wake somebody up when they're sleepwalking? You know how we're saying, like, this is some great awakening? Well, just so you know, if you look back, they've been saying that since the advent of YouTube. And they've been talking about this alleged rapture since the advent of the internet. So I try not to pigeonhole myself into any of those theologies or doctrines. That's doctrines. I try not to pigeonhole myself into those doctrines. And another thing real quick, just, and again, to take care of some business before we get to the video. I know there are other people out there who make videos about me. I want you to use your own discernment. You make your own judgments. I can't tell you what to do. I pray for those people. Sometimes I see them. Usually I do not. I have to guard my heart now because I do have a soft heart. And, you know, I don't really care who believes me or doesn't believe me. Sometimes women can come across as hard or harsh because we're simply protecting ourselves, or we have a wall up until we get to know somebody better because we've been taken advantage of and abused. I just saw another post about how there is not a single virtuous woman left anymore. I don't know that I would agree with that. These gender wars and the arguing over who is better. Personally, I'm trying to opt out as best I can. And just do what I promised to do, and that was to witness to the things I see and the way I see them, because there are other people out there who might learn the same way, and I might help 2 or 3 people. I might help 2 or 3,000. The next channel over might help 50,000, right? So I try not to bother myself personally with numbers or anything like that either, because it's just, that's not who I am, and there's no point in trying to fake it till you make it. I tried that, and it didn't go well for me. Every time I go against who I really am, I suffer for that. My life suffers. So, and my spiritual growth. So there are people out there who make videos about me. I just pray for them. I want to say something about the PayPal link, though. And I'm not going to mention the channel's name because there's no point in it. Channels that I've shared, channels that I've watched, channels that I've given the thumbs up to just because they've opened my eyes to things, now think it's okay to go ahead and talk smack and be passive aggressive and make posts because they know that I'll see them, because I have a special algorithm, I believe, that's in my phone, kind of like if you've watched Mr. Nixon or Mr. Dixon, one of the good friends of the channel, turned us on to that channel, Truthor, Truthor. He had similar problems, and we're going to talk about that because this gets woo-woo. This gets a little weird. So I like to preface, the videos with what's going on here and where I get these thoughts. I was going to do this as an upload. I decided to do it live so you could kind of see the process and like why I got this idea. And again, just to say, people asked me a while back if they could like buy me a coffee, that type of thing. And I don't know how to use those links. I'm not on Patreon. So maybe I should get on Patreon. That might be better. But I just put up a PayPal link because somebody asked me to before. Christ's ministry, you have to understand, worked and operated specifically off of the fortune of others, people's, whatever you want to call it, goodwill, right? It was all charity. Charity doesn't equate with donation. It doesn't mean monetary. This is charity, what I'm doing, spending my time doing this. If people decide that they want to help me out, I'd say that's their business. I'd be more than happy to get better equipment. I've never made donations like that. I don't have it like that. I don't ask for them. It's just a link that's there. I don't care if you use it or not, to be honest. I'm still going to do what I do. It doesn't matter to me. If I was in this for money, I would have stopped a long time ago. So I just wanted, we don't all do things for the same reason, and making blanket statements or even passive aggressive statements about a whole group of people, or judging one person on a single comment or something like that is just, it needs to stop. And what's funny about this is these people say that like targeting doesn't exist, but they're creating it. They're making it exist by targeting other channels like mine and yours. So I hope you see the hypocrisy there, and that I don't have to like talk about that ad nauseum anymore. Okay, so let's look at this definition first, because I'm still getting my feet wet again after being away from the church for so long. I'm still getting back into the understanding of ecclesiastical terminology. Ecclesiastical is just the Latin word for, or is it Greek? I'm pretty sure it's Latin. Ecclesiastical just means church. Simple, right? There used to only just be one church. It was just that's what it was. Ecclesiastes. So ecumenical is an adjective, and it means to represent a number of different Christian churches, promoting or relating to unity among the world's Christian churches. Now, see, there's the Greek, and then the late Latin ecumenical. Yeah, so ecclesiastical is Latin. Okay, so now that we know what that means, I want you guys to take a minute and check this out, because I told you I run that Tubi app. I let Dateline kind of go in the background lately. I go through binge and purges of certain things, because again, I'm actually looking for something, and I know that's going to sound weird, but I am. There are certain, again, I don't know why I hear or see things the way that I do since 2018, but certain words people will say, certain phrases people will say, it might not have anything to do. For example, somebody told me, "You're one of the last ones like that." And I'm like, wow, that's true. And it just resonated with me. And I wasn't perceiving it the way that person meant it, but sometimes clues into our reality, the good guys and the bad guys speak through people all the time. So if you notice something like kind of trips your trigger, or it like sets off some type of alert in your brain or your spirit, pay attention to those words or phrases, because you're probably meant to. I still have high strangeness happening. I'll show you guys when I get a little further, but I'm working on a picture of a raven. And now I'm seeing them, like Matt Walsh has a picture up about our birds racist. Like, that is every day my life. Every day I will say something, mention something, and then there's videos about it. I know other people are experiencing this. It's like our devices are just for us. Okay, it looks like people are commenting, but nothing's happening. Hold, please. Not that one, this one. There we go. Let's see. Am I still alive? Probably. All right, if somebody could comment, that'd be great. Hey, you okay? I'm not sure what that means. Jess, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Okay. So I look for patterns, basically. And I don't look for them. I just have pattern recognition. And I was letting Dateline run in the background. And I used, good to be here. Good to have you here. And I used that Tubi app, and I let it run in the background, the Dateline, right? And so I kind of started noticing things. And it's like I said, it's almost like our devices are tailored just for us. Like, we each have our own algorithm, and certain videos are pushed out to certain people. And I don't mean big mainstream videos. I mean like little channels like this one. And it is bizarre when people are making comments or saying things or talking about things, And these people who say that there is no targeting and they make all these videos, they are targeting themselves, but saying that there is no such thing. Do you see what I mean? The hypocrisy there. I hope that people have not lost all their critical thinking abilities, and they can discern things like that on their own, and people don't have to keep pointing them out. because we're going to get to a time here where the line's going to get very blurry, and I'm going to give you an example of that. But to do that, I kind of need to show you where this thought came from. So ecumenical means it's a conglomeration of several different Christian, usually, Christian church denominations, okay? Hold, please. So we're going to get rid of this. And I'm going to look something up, and I just want you to bear with me while I do this. Jodi Arias. Allegedly sung by Travis Alexander. I don't even want to know. Okay. Why does it say song by Travis Alexander? What does that mean? The absence of lightning before it strikes. Did he write a song about her? Okay, that's different. Let's stay where I was at, because I don't know why that's there. Okay. Allegedly. This guy and this gal started dating, okay? And you can actually see him. He's on YouTube still. I think his videos are still there. Let me open it up. Sorry. Let's do this. Everything is shared per the Fair Use Act of 1976. I won't show you any sound or anything like that. Alexander. Now, what they do is they are like in MLM businesses, like the pyramid schemes or like direct sales, but usually MLM and direct sales are a little bit different. Everybody above you in the pyramid gets all this money, right? Oh, wow. She gained a lot of weight. And honestly, I don't think that's what she looks like now, but I'll get into that at a different time. All right. Allegedly, these two got together at like some type of sales convention. Okay. He has a channel up though, and it still has like a video where he's giving like a motivational speech telling people how to get sales. Now, he lived with 3 or 4 roommates. Let me pull this up so you guys can read along. I'm just going to go by memory. If I get something wrong, I'm sure somebody will point it out, or it's right here. We know that Wiki is not a reliable source all the time, but it does give us a good head start into things. Now, what's funny is that he had 3 or 4 roommates, and Jodi Arias, she was basically targeted, okay? He was a member of the LDS church, of the Mormon church. Here we go. It's going to get weird. Okay. She started dating him. They met at a sales convention. And allegedly, all his friends said she was the bad influence and she was getting him to do things before marriage. Sensual things, if you get my meaning. When things started going bad with them, like they were in different states, and she would try to get in touch, and I guess he was rebuking her. Now, again, this is all through messaging apps, okay? I don't think they did any verbal phone calls, so she doesn't even really know if it's him she's talking to. But allegedly, the last weekend they were together, when she left, everything was erratic. She talked to this guy she had met online. He said, she come and slept on his couch or say. It gets very weird, but it sounds an awful lot like targeting, because they said she was going back and forth and didn't know where to go. Now, she's like me. She's somebody without any roots. So imagine how easy it would be to frame somebody who has no roots. Now, again, I'm asking you to open your mind and consider a different possibility, because we're learning that the media is not trustworthy. They spin things the way they want us to see it. The Mormons pour a lot of money into media. They have their own media companies. They pour a lot of money into Hollywood, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And they pour a lot of money into Pfizer via Blackstone, their portfolio managers or management company, which I've done videos on, and I've got receipts for all of it. I've showed you all that stuff. So it's just possible that the people with the most money perhaps wanted this story reversed and wanted the little girl who had nobody, who had no family, who had no roots. How easy then would it be for a group of people to pin a crime on her if they themselves did it? See, because what's funny is he had a room, three or four roommates. There was like 5 of them. And like 2 days after she had left the house, they said there was a smell coming from his room, and they went in and found him in the shower. Now, if you look at the size of this guy and the size of her in the beginning, like, They're not. Like, there's no way she could have lifted and done the things that she allegedly did to his body to stuff him in a shower. Okay? And it's very possible when jealousy arises, I know from firsthand experience, a couple of his roommates were women, a couple were men. And again, they all stuck together. They all pinned all this on this one girl, again, who had no references, no family. Even her own family said she was always the black sheep. She didn't talk a lot. She didn't want to do a lot with them. Sound familiar, guys? Does it sound like any of the TIs that you may know? She was actually baptized into the Mormon church. Almost immediately after she was baptized, this stuff goes down. But wait. There's more. Isn't there always more? Okay. So again, hold your judgments, okay? I know people are going to look at this and say, oh, she's a cruel murderer, this, that, and the other. I'm telling you to look at this as like a character analysis or as a story just for a few moments in time, okay? I think it's tragic when human life is lost. I, again, have a very soft heart. Most of you know this who talk to me. So we know that these two are involved in the Mormon church. I don't know if her baptism is in here, but her baptism pictures used to be up. Now, when the Mormons came to my house, they invited me to get baptized like the second time after they meet me. If you look at their doctrine and you pull up their Mormon doctrine, you are supposed to go through classes and you are supposed to attend their quote-unquote church meetings before you ever see the inside of a temple and before you would get baptized. And I told this to the girls. I said, why are you offering to do this when that's not the normal procedure for a convert? Well, it would be easier if we could tell you in person. There's something wrong here with this group, with this organization. And it spills down and infects everybody, it seems, that touches it. Now, again, I know the Catholic Church is greatly persecuted, but I want to show you something. Again, we're gonna just stick with me, because remember, the media will always want to give you a villain, and the villain they give you is never going to be the one who pours money into them, or the one that keeps their lights on, or pays their paychecks, or pays for their Botox injections. They're never going to turn on their bread and butter. So let's look at another one. I have a lot in common with both of these cases. This is why things stick out. Susan Marie Powell, West Valley City, Utah. Her parents brought her up in the Mormon church, in the LDS church. That's her husband, Josh, and their two beautiful children. Allegedly, when they first got together. Now, I'm giving you a summation, okay? This is not gospel. Excuse the pun. I'm giving you a summary of, if you want to see the rest of the story, you can look into it. And I'm only going to go over a few. I hope you get the picture, though. She was raised in the Mormon church, as was he. That's his father. They lived with him. This guy right here. Oh, sorry. They lived with him when they first got together. Now, on Dateline, dude does a nasty smear campaign talking about how she was always flirting with him. Like if she passed him the baby, she would rub on him. And just, if you watch the interview, it's horrible. It's so tasteless. And this is what becomes of reprobates. They don't even, what is happening there? No. All right, I got to put this back because that's not working. I was trying to make things easier for myself, but that's not happening. Okay, sorry about that. So, when somebody goes to like this reprobate state, meaning, do I have to explain what a reprobate is? Basically, it's somebody who has unnatural inclinations towards, what do I say? Nihilism, no moralistic value. They lose their moral compass, basically. If you listen to this older man in the interview, his dad, it sounds very bad. Like he is basically incriminating himself. I don't know how he's not in jail. But again, you have these people, they were in the Mormon church. Now, allegedly, the husband admits to one night at midnight, he gets the two kids who are toddlers, puts them in the truck and takes them camping overnight. And they sleep in a below freezing in their car. Okay, no man is going to do that. Like, that's not going to happen. No, no guy's going to take his kids camping at midnight. Okay? So the next thing, when they got back, she was gone. And that's all he says, she was gone. So they start this search. And then, of course, they look at the husband because they always do. Doesn't matter how many years have passed. They always look at the husband, the lover, love interest, boyfriend, even exes. That's how it goes. And your family. And let me preface something. It doesn't matter how close a relationship you have. It matters how closely related you are, because those are usually the people who carry life insurance on you. And I told you, when these beings, these lower level sentient beings, when they can't get anything out of you as a human resource, they will kick you to the curb, and then they will cash in on the life insurance policy. That's like their last, and or organ harvesting, any of these nasty things that I'm not going to talk about because they don't have anything to do with the point of this video. All right, so let's Google something else, because I forget all the names. I don't know the names of everybody, but if you Google Dateline, you could pretty much. All right, so here we have some actors and actresses, dancers, singers. Christina Aguilera, that's different. I didn't know that. Look at all these people. Glenn Beck, Roseanne Barr, Ryan Gosling. All these people are in the Mormon Church. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 NFL players. So there's something going on with this. Now, if I punch in now, if we look at like their most popular cases, okay? Let's go here. I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, geez. No, go away. All right, are they showing all the pictures? It looks like... Leave half of what you see and none of what you hear. My grandfather used to tell me that. This is not what... Okay. Hold, please. All right, so this is my problem, is all these people are Mormons. And there's a whole lot of them involved in true crime. But I'm going to get to that in just a second. No, I'm not looking for that one. True crime. All right, now let's try this. So here are high-profile ones over the years, it looks like. Now, this gets into like everything that happened in the very beginning of the religion and what happened. Serial killer Joseph Paul Franklin. Instead, he converted to Mormonism in 1974. Okay. I read some of that. Ron and Dan Lafferty. Which is true, and that's a Mormon issue. Desert News, that is the Mormon media company. They own that, okay? And I just showed you a bunch of actors, and that's not even all of them. That's just the top few. Ervil LeBaron, whoever that is. Mormon Manson, supposedly. Lovely, lovely. Glenn and Justin Helzer. Orrin Porter Rockwell. Jodi Arias. There she is. Mark Hoffman. It started with forgery with him. who had privately stopped believing in God. So he's blaming it on that. Mark Hacking, don't know who that is. Yep, and that was his wife that he murdered. Arthur Gary Bishop. All of these people were or are in the LDS church. Guess who else converted to Mormonism? All right, so we know he was, right? We see him there, the Baron. All right, we already know those ones. Oh, why can't I remember his name? Paul Bundy. Watch this. And this gets weird. If you watch his interviews, Ted Bundy, sorry. My bad, Ted Bundy. If you watch his interviews, he really does think he's going to beat this, and he really does seem innocent at first. Like, I don't see it. But then they find out about his significant other and who has a child. And things change. All of a sudden, he's singing about how he did these things. So it's very strange that like I said, you have to watch the interview and you have to know what you're watching for, like as far as observing people. But he was really into it. So he turned his life over to Jesus and became a Christian. He repented publicly for his crimes and spent his final night praying with his pastor. But what religion is he? He was baptized into the faith when he moved to Utah to attend law school. This was essentially in the middle of his killing spree, after his killings in Washington State, but before his killings in Utah, Colorado, and Florida. Sound familiar? So let me ask you something. There's a few things going on here, but as far as Dateline goes, let's get that out of the way real quick. It tells you they're true stories. I've heard 3 different stories now. The one was about a guy who did his wife in, and then he got caught singing that song at karaoke. I used to love her, but I had to kill her. I forget who sings that. And then there was a girl who had done something to a boyfriend or husband or whatever. She went to karaoke, and they caught her. They used it as evidence because she sang in karaoke the Dixie Chicks song, Kill Earl, or Had to Kill Earl or something. They're using the same plot lines in various different of the Dateline shows, which you probably already know. Okay, we know TV is fake. We know the news is pretty much fake. I'm not saying wars don't happen. I'm not saying people out there aren't dying somewhere. I'm saying it's not the way they're presenting it or framing it to look. And I'm saying the one that they villainize, we got to lose this mob mentality where we say, oh my God, you mean they did this crime? It's such a horrendous crime. Yes, they should pay. But wait, let's not put the horse before the carriage here. We got to make sure we have the right person. Because this is going to matter a whole lot coming up very soon, I believe. These people who are targeting us, they're never going to say it's because you talk about God. They're never going to say it's because you expose evil. That's never going to be said. They will either frame us for crap like this. Okay, and they've been wanting my DNA for a long minute now, and I'm like, I'm not giving you my DNA, and I'm lonely. I would love to know my roots. I would love to know where I come from, but I just don't feel comfortable doing that. And you should read about that too, because when you do that, you kind of sign off on that becoming theirs, like they own it at that point in time, and I'm not agreeing to anything like that. Okay, so the first thing is that Dateline is regurgitating basically scripts. The second thing is that the people involved in these crimes are Mormons. Mormons are all over TV. They're all over our televisions. What is going on with this? They also are one of the only ones who profited during CV because they had stock in Pfizer. Again, I've showed you all this. Have the receipts for it. Their portfolio company is Blackstone. They're actually in court now because of all these things. Maybe that's why things are on hold. Maybe they really are catching all these bad guys. I don't know. Would it be lovely? Yes, it would. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I saw somebody in a comment section just this afternoon calling Trump Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's not. Some of the things that comes out of his mouth, he's not Christ. And I don't know why, like, I don't know why people are so caught up in that. Like I said, it's like wrestling for adults. And I'm not trying to insult anyone who's still into the ticking of, the world. Doesn't personally interest me. I'm not going to vote on any of these things because nobody asked me if I wanted to, or if, they give you these two extreme choices. I'm not going to do that. Because if something ever happens, I can say, you know what, I didn't vote either way on that because I didn't like my options. These are ways that I keep my spirit clean, and I make sure that I'm utilizing my free will appropriately. Okay, so now what do I mean by when I say this ecumenical stuff? Well, we're seeing the Catholics and the Mormons are coming together. Now it says we don't. How should Catholics respond? Would reduce the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit from being the three persons of the one true and infinite God to being three limited, finite deities among an uncounted multitude of deities. See, because all right. Shoulder to Shoulder Partners, Desert News, 2021. Okay, so this right here, Desert News, again, this is their news. So they decide what goes in here, what doesn't go in here, all that stuff. The partnership between Catholics and the Latter-day Saints. Downright sinful. That sounds like Biden. So, nowhere in Scripture does it talk about this 7-year peace deal or whatever. That's not mentioned. I don't know where people pull that out of or what kind of doctrine, where that came from. But I've never seen it in my Bibles. The next thing is it also never says that he will be a Jew. Never. Never anywhere does it say that the Antichrist will be a Jew. People just think that it'll be a Jew. Nowhere does it say that. It's my personal belief, and I believe I've prayed on this a lot, and I believe that I talk with God, and I think this is why I've had a hard time. This person has been kind of fuzzy to me. They're going to come across as somebody who has moralistic values. They are going to bring the churches together, but this person herself is not going to be quote unquote religious, okay? They will not already be a part of a church, I don't think. But they will have a hand in bringing these different groups together. And it's already happening. There's something happening behind the scenes that we're just not privy to. I'm getting the chills. But I do believe that, you don't have to listen to this channel. You don't have to listen to me. There are plenty of other people out there, to listen to and to talk with and all that type of stuff. But I really enjoy our fellowship here. We have a really good group of people, critical thinkers who use their discernment and who don't just go bullying people around like jocks, from high school. I don't understand why people are still acting that way, and they think that it's acceptable and that it's all right to be that way. And then they want women to be submissive, but then they're hypocrites because they will come after women without their husband being around, without going through their husband. They will just signal out women, call them names, ridicule them, target them, say heinous things about them, dox them. I was doxed. What happened to the person who doxed me? Nothing. Because channels like this don't matter. That's why people are going to talk, let them talk. We're here to have our fellowship. We're here to not be surprised, to understand what's coming down the pike. Even if we don't know exactly all the workings of it, we can get a pretty good idea or a shape of things to come and say, okay, if I have to make a certain decision, this is what I might decide. Or, okay, this is coming, I need to maybe get my ducks in a row, that type of thing. That's why we do this. But, you guys know about the dreams and the things that I have and how I pray and meditate. And, God's been leading me down this road to share these things and expose them. So I am. Again, I don't have anything against the church itself. I like the girls who have visited me, although I believe a couple of them are way too interested in or have too much time with someone who's supposed to be my spouse. Again, there's a lot of deception going on with that church. The polygamy is not over. They just covered it up. And there's a lot of things being hidden there that I hope are just exposed, because God's daughters do need to be freed. Like we just need to have our own, just be able to breathe. Just, submitting to man, to our husband, right? That doesn't mean every man, okay? And that meant in the church. Be ready to learn. Be listening. In the church, okay? In marriage, it is an equal footing. In friendships, it is an equal footing. Christ's ministry ran off of the generosity of people like Mary Magdalene. She wanted to do something good with the money that she had had. And it was 12 by 12. God never sends out just 12 males. He didn't do that on the ark. He wouldn't do that with Christ's ministry. There had to be a woman for each male. And there had to be women, because in the days of healing, you had to have a woman there to deal with the women. That it would not have been appropriate for a man to be left alone with the women. Okay, now enough lecturing on that. I just wanted to give you a taste of this. There's a whole lot more as far as the true crime goes. But what do you think is happening? One, is it fake and they're just scripts and they're all actors? Two, does this church have like a really bloody history and whatnot? Yeah, the 12 disciples came with their wives and children. I agree. I agree with that. Thank you for being here. It's nice to see you, and I appreciate the support. I might lay things out different. I don't always go over scripture, but if you listen and you are a Christ follower, you will hear that I use scripture in my speech. My thing is that a lot of people will go right to, well, the Bible says. I don't do that because unsaved people don't want to hear that. They don't personally care what the Bible says because it's not a foundation for them, right? You have to meet them where they're at, which is why I won't say, hey, this is Corinthians verse this, and that, right? I won't say this is John 3:16 or, I just speak it and try to plant those seeds that way. And we each do our ministries different. But God told me to witness, and I've been doing this for 4 years now, just about. And yeah, it's tiring. I'm tired. And I think the one last thing is going to be the AC, and that might be the time when my ministry changes to like vagabond type thing, because once that person is named, I'm sure the target I have on my back will be even bigger. But I have, for me, there's like 3 options, but I think there's going to be 5, because you've got like Son of Perdition, you've got the Beast, you've got the AC, like they never go anywhere alone, right? That's the only thing they do better than us is organize. If they weren't so organized, or if we were as organized, this wouldn't be the way it is right now. And I don't know if it's truly end times, because Christ said when he was here, it was the end of an age. The whole point is we're supposed to always be prepared and to always be vigilant and not to give in to temptation, because we never know when that day may be. And the day for passing is different for everyone. So the one option is the stories on TV are all fake. The serial killers, all that stuff. But these people are actually going somewhere. So what's happening to them if that's the option you go with? The second thing is, all right, so 1, you have it's all a script and they're actors. 2, you have it's real, right? Wait, what's the other one? Hold on, let me think about this. Either it's a script and they're all following that script and it's fake, right? They're all just actors. So you have that as option 1. The second option would be that it's true and the Mormon LDS religion is just that dangerous for people to be involved in. When I looked at like the massacre in Kirkland and stuff, I was seriously considering conversion. But when I saw their history, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And some of their doctrines, like the baptism of the dead, I want to do a short video on that, but I think that's a really good way to like consent to possession. that's what it sounds like to me, is ancestor worship, and that you would be pretty much consenting for that spirit that you're proxy baptizing to come into your body. And so I don't know why people don't think of this. And I'm not saying like possession as in like what Hollywood says. I'm saying like just an attachment that's not you, your own, not your own personality. Demonic, lower level. I don't care what word you insert there. Okay? I'm going to stop doing that though, because I'm not going to explain myself in the vocabulary that I use. If somebody doesn't want to watch because I'm a Christ follower, that's completely up to them. We obviously are in the time of persecution. Every person that speaks for Christ is getting lambasted. And if you're not being attacked, and somebody sent me this reminder today, then maybe examine your walk, because there's something wrong if everything is perfect. There's something wrong. And I'm not saying God doesn't bless us. God blesses me every day in all kind of ways. I'm saying by the secular people, by people of the world. Now, the last thing I wanted you to look at is counterfeit, right? We always say that Satan has a counterfeit kingdom. So I haven't heard the whole feed, but I personally abstain from secular TV shows. And if I question what I'm watching, I don't watch it if it doesn't agree with my faith. Right. But I'm just sharing a personal opinion. No, let me address that. There's a reason I do what I do. I don't think everyone can do it, and I think that's good. If that's how you feel, then you got to follow the way the Holy Spirit leads you. Absolutely. And there are times that I absolutely take a time out. I won't watch anything like that. I'll just listen to sermons, what have you, or I'll just turn on like some classical music. Lately, I've gotten my flute out again. I've been playing that a little bit. And people always say how dumb Christians are, but you have to be pretty intelligent to understand that old text and to see all the hidden messages in it. So I do this because when I was like 12 years old, my mom introduced me into the occult. Now, it wasn't a coven or anything like that. It was Ouija boards and telepathy and like that, just strange things. So my whole growing up days were weird. But up until the time I was 12, 13, 14, I was going to catechism. And I know what people say about the Catholic Church. I know a lot of people think that it's the whore of Babylon. I disagree with that. I'm just going to say I disagree with that and not go any further with it. I used to think that too before God took me to every church, before he took me back to the Catholic Church. And I got a lot of grief for that too from people. But I want to talk about that. Counterfeit. What is a counterfeit? Because my mom introduced me into that occult stuff, I know really well how the false thing can look real. And so I use the stuff that I wish, because like I said, I never practiced witchcraft or anything. God just allowed me to kind of learn about things without doing them. You know what I mean? Like research wise. And I'll be brutally honest here. The Old Testament has Moses and Aaron using gemstones. I don't think gemstones are witchcraft. I'm not one of those people. If you want to know what a real witch is, go to Hansel and Gretel. That's what a witch is, and that's why it says, suffer not a witch to live. Right there is because of what witches do. And if you don't believe me, just look how they're changing the vocabulary now. Witch did not mean the same thing back then as it means today. Read the story about Aaron and Moses and about the gemstones that they had to put on their vest so that they would not get obliterated by what I think is the equivalent of what we call radiation today. They describe it in the Bible that anyone who touched the ark would be, instantly killed. I think there's a good case for that, giving off some type of radioactive power. So I watch these things so I can point them out to you and say, hey, a lot of the stuff we're hearing, a lot of these murders, I want you guys to know it's fake. So that, number one, you won't get so stressed and your heart won't be so, you know what I mean? Focus on what you can see. Focus on what you can do. Don't worry about what they say is going on in the Middle East. Because I've told you my thoughts on that too. They've messed with the map and our heads so much that I don't think we have any idea the shape of things, to be honest. And I'm just keeping it real. I think something happens when people are up in planes. I think you get a little disoriented. I don't think you know what you're looking down at. And most of the time, you're buried in clouds, or people, don't like to fly, so they sleep the whole time. But there's some deception there. And I got that straight from God, so I know that it's there. Okay? So that's why I do this, is because I want people to understand, number one, most of what they're showing you on the screen is fake. That is the distraction. I'll do a short on this. The screen itself, guys, is the distraction. It's not so much what's on the screen. I mean, of course, they're going to try and get you into as much fear as they can, because then you're not going to do anything. Then you're just going to stay glued to the screen. But all this time, we're sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. Are you living your life? Or are you just waiting for the sky to fall like Chicken Little? There's a healthy balance that we all need to maintain here. And so that's why I do what I do, is because I've looked at, my mom had a video store. Like, my mind was already awash in all this pop culture crap. So I use it to help other people by defragging it, decoding it, and trying to say, hey, this is what it is. It's nothing to be scared of. This is what's in the dark. And really, it's nothing at all to you because you got Christ. But we don't even know what time it is. And I don't want to get into this part too deep of things, but let's take a look at this and then I'll show you what I'm thinking. So, counterfeit, right? Satan has a counterfeit kingdom. The enemy has a counterfeit kingdom of God's kingdom. Made an exact imitation of something valuable or important with the intention to deceive or defraud. That's the intent. So why do you think that, and again, I know what you think about the Catholic Church, most of the people on YouTube, because I fell into it too. But I'm going to tell you right now, number one, I know from experience, do not say anything negative about Christ's mother. She is the one who brought him into this world. I know everybody thinks we worship her. There's a difference between honoring and venerating and worship. We are told to honor our mother and our father, both. Why would God give us that command if he did not want us doing it? Mother and father, not just father. God himself told us that. No worries, you too. But God the Father told us himself to honor both mother and father. I know that if someone dishonors Mary, that they are going to get harassed by the locusts. And this isn't a refining fire. That is, shame on you, repent. Okay? So what is the counterfeit then? Well, you see and again, just bear with me. I know you might not agree, but just give me a moment of your time like I give you guys mine. Even if I don't agree with you, I still listen to the theories that you have. I still try to reply to all the emails that I get about the topics that are on the channel. So please have that consideration for me as I have it for you. So if the enemy has a counterfeit and he counterfeits what is true, why do you think they're attacking the Catholic Church so much right now? Let's say that the Catholic Church, because it was the first church, that's why there's only one ecclesiastical book, ecclesiastical history, church history. You can only find one. There isn't one for every church. There's just one. The first church was the Catholic Church. And if Satan makes a copy, a duplicate of everything that is truly godly, so there are some people that say, oh, the satanic black mass, that is the counterfeit. Let me tell you something right now. Satanism is not where this is going to come from. It's called Satanism. That's not where Satan's hiding. He don't care about them. He already got them. That's not where he's hiding. So who mimics the Catholic Church but got rid of some really important information? No, I know you guys aren't going to get it. The persecution back in the day started in the church, right? Because of the differences in theology. Persecution of their own started in the church. Joan of Arc's a saint. They canonized her, but they burned her. They let her lead their armies, and then they burned her at the stake. All of these are institutions that are made by man, so they are going to be flawed and faulty. Christ established the first church, and the first church was Catholic. Satanism is not what we have to fear, and we shouldn't fear anything anyway, but Satanism is not the counterfeit of God. Remember, they want it to pass as the real thing. So it has to be as close as possible, but it's not going to be the real thing, number one, because they can't handle holy artifacts. And they can't wear vestments and all that stuff. If you have demons attached to you, or if you're under a curse, none of those things will work. What does the last book tell us? That anyone who adds to or removes from shall be accursed, right? You know, the original, the first Bible, is it 72? It had more than 66 books. Your Methodist pastors, your Protestant pastors are not going to tell you this. 72. Just like the 72 names of God. Wow. Isn't that something? 72. Oops. Jeez, what'd you do that for? Not Catholic Bible. $80 books in the King James, 39 in the Old Testament, 14 and 27. Okay. You know I didn't ask you for the Apocrypha. So, the Roman Catholic Bible has 72 to 73 books. Orthodox Bible is somewhat larger with somewhere between 75 and 79. These, like 72 to 79, that ends up being similar because you have, Psalms are different. Now, if you go to the Catholic Bible and the KJV, they're numbered different because there are some missing, and I'm pretty sure it's perfunctory Psalms that aren't in the KJV. The KJV is the counterfeit, and nobody is getting it. Nobody understands. And I know I'm going to lose people for that. I know you're going to start screaming at me or your televisions. If you're having a violent reaction, you should ask yourself why. 72. Now, where is the... Why are there 66 books in the King James Bible and 72? Because the Catholic Bible came first. So you know what the counterfeit of the true church is then, right? And they're trying to pull them into the fold right now, but we've already been told in the Bible, if they go out from us, they were never of us. The Protestants broke all this off because because of lust. They wanted to have women. And they didn't understand why. And what's funny is they blame it all on how the Catholic Church, they said, you're too into idolatry and you have too many materialistic things like the gold crosses, all this stuff. I'll get into that later because I once felt the same way. But there's a reason they have that stuff. And I think it again has to do with consecration and elements and alchemy a little bit. But certain metals will rebuke or repel, let's say repel, certain beings, like an allergy, right? I know that when I eat ice cream, I can't use the silver spoon. I got to use plastic because for whatever reason, the silver really bothers me. But that's the only kind of jewelry I wear is silver. Do you see where I'm getting at? I think they have those things in there for a reason, but that's a whole nother video because that does get very woo-woo. You get into the woo there. Here, though, it's self-explanatory. You're missing really important things that you need. And again, Satanism, that's not what we have to fear. That's not what we have to worry about, guys. I mean, of course, yes, anyone who's into demonology, okay, straight up demonology, yes. But the ones who went out from us, who were never of us, would be the ones who followed Martin Luther. It would be Protestants. And I love you guys. I know some of you are Protestant, and I went to Protestant churches. Please don't hold this against me. It's just a thought process. Satan's not going to wave a flag and say, hey, here I am. This is my church. He works from the shadows. Unless he decides he's going to have an arrogant moment. And I'm not going to get into that because I'm trying to set a trap. See? And it's only going to work if I don't talk about it on here. And I give too much away as it is. Anyone who's into demonology will understand, like, yes, that's blatantly anti-God, right? But Satan doesn't want us to know that. Satan wants you to think you're safe. He wants you to think that, oh, you don't have to nothing to worry about. You're saved, right? Don't worry about it. You're saved. You go to church, you give to the alms, you're saved. But if you look at the way that the temple is set up in the Old Testament and the way it's set up now in churches, all right, because that didn't change the setting up of the temple. There are certain schematics that you have to follow that operate with ley lines and spiritual points of. A lot of the Catholic churches, I've told you, were buried on pagan sites for a reason. They want those spots back now. But God had that ground consecrated for a reason, because they were doing ritualistic killings and whatnot. Now, what's the difference in that and what people did in the Old Testament? I'm telling you, we got to start thinking about these things. You don't want to be under the false Christ. You don't want to be under a false God. Because that's the counterfeit kingdom. And Satan's going to want it to look as much like God's true church as possible. And I think at this point, I don't think Protestants necessarily knew what they were doing. I think they might have thought they were still doing good. But the Mormon church and all the polygamy, like, that is a surefire sign. Wherever you see polygamy, that is the fallen ones. Like, that's their signature. That's what they're down with. And that's what they try to get man to sin that way, because eating and fornication are the two quickest and easiest ways to corrupt somebody's body and soul, because what you take in your body affects your soul. Your body is actually a part of the soul. They're not supposed to be a part. Nobody wants to hear this. We've got to stop listening to men. Look into your history. Do your due diligence. Don't sit here, and if you're here watching perps, don't sit here and waste your time trying to pick on some girl. Like, what does that do for you guys? Go read a book. Go learn history, real history. Go find God, please. Go spend time in nature. There's something wrong with that church. If you have that many... Oh, and let's not forget the two most recent. And let me be real honest here. That looks nothing like the original woman. Nothing like her. Even when they said she was in Hawaii at an airport, that looks nothing like the original girl. Now, I know stress can do a lot to you. I know not sleeping can do a lot to a person. I really don't think that's even the same person. That woman, I don't think that's her. I just don't. They say orange is allegedly a Freemasonic color. The Mormon rituals look a lot like the Masonic rituals. But we have to get into another aspect here too. I don't know, man, because who else is wanted for murder and goes off to Hawaii for a vacation? I wouldn't doubt if something happened in Hawaii a few years ago and they just haven't told the mainland yet either, because something's really up with the world. So yes, here's another one. Here's another story. And their story is sad, because they really make Christians sound wicked. Is groups like this. Like, they make us seem very wicked. And I think that's the whole point of this denomination. I think they were started by Lucifer himself. I really do. And I know a lot of nice Mormons. I don't think it has anything to do with the flock. Again, I think it's the patriarchy, the hierarchy in the church. I don't think it has anything to do. I don't think it has anything to do with God. And I don't think it has anything to do with the flock. I want to hear what you guys think. What are your thoughts? Why is there so much blood in this church? Like, what is up with that? And our final possibility, because we're going to start looking at this again too. Is death still a thing? I'm asking. Is it still a thing? I'm having a hard time seeing proof of that in aging. And I know people are going to say, oh, it's adrenochroma, all this stuff. I'm not bringing anything like that into this. I'm asking you, is death still a thing? When's the last time you were on the street and you saw a funeral procession go in front of you and you got stuck in traffic because of it? When's the last time you saw one driving down the road? And some people will say, oh, well, I lost this person and I lost that person. And trust me, I've lost so many people. I know it's painful to say goodbye. But I'm really wondering what time it is. If Christ already came, we would have to know, right? But if they're right and there is this millennial reign, that's why I try not, my eschatology is pretty much open. Like I don't have anything firmly set. I know Christ is coming. I know God will right the earth again. You know what I mean? I know that things are cyclical. But I'm asking you guys, things are very strange here, no? They've been strange for a little bit now. Even if you get rid of COVID, even if you get rid of stuff on TV, just the way people behave. It's like they're learning how to be human. And I know that sounds strange. Is death still a thing? Was it ever a thing? Do God's children actually die? Because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot of blood in that church, man. I don't want to be a part of that church. Is that the whole point? Is that why they're doing this? And again, if you look at Dateline, almost every case they have, and I didn't write down every single one. I want you guys, if this interests you, you look at it. Almost every case they had over there was a Mormon. That was the religion of the people, was Mormonism. And they say they're Christian, man, but they're not Christians. I don't think they realize it themselves. I don't think it's the ones who started the church. But if you've never known the real thing, to you, that's going to seem real. It's going to seem real. This is why I have a target on my back, because I expose things like this. And I'm sure I lost subs just talking about Mary and the Catholic Church, but you know what? It is what it is. If you're going to stop listening to me for something so base, something that I actually believe in and I think deserves some honor and reverence, ladies, men, we have to do better. By each other, by our children, we have to do better. And don't let things like this dissuade you from God. This is not godly, right? Churches are not of God, per se, church buildings. Find God. Find Christ. And the only church with all the sacraments that are healing to your life and body, and I know this from experience, is the Catholic Church. Now, what about what they're doing now? I don't know, because I haven't even decided yet myself. Do I find an underground church? What do I do? How do I still get the sacraments? How do I still do Eucharistic adoration? How do I do these things? I don't know. Maybe you guys will help me there too, because I'm running out of ideas. But I know that I want to live God's way, and I know that I really don't want to get caught up in the wrath, because I know that judgment is coming. I told you when it was the season of exposure on the other channel, that's just about over. You're going to start seeing justice. I hope to God it's for the right people, though. Okay, so next what we're going to look at, I'm going to say goodbye on this video. Again, all these things kind of go together. We're going to look at the buried alive cases again, because there's just so many of them, and they're so flippin' bizarre, guys. And the word death wasn't even in the English language until the 1880s, when history, again, got very strange. It's like going through a garbage dump, you know, and getting rid of all the stuff that they buried the treasure under, right? Like trying to find the truth. It's like going through piles and piles of garbage all the time. But anyways, we're also going to do something that has to do with the Truman Show. I don't want to get into a whole lot of it, but it has to do with typecasting. If you don't know what that word means, look it up and let me know. Is that something you guys want to do live, or do you prefer uploads? You let me know. All right. We'll talk soon. Love you guys.